This is your top story this Friday. The South African National Defence Force will set foot in Sporong, west of Johannesburg, this weekend. President Ramaphosa announced the deployment in his State of the Nation address last night, and it comes after months of residents' appeals over rising violence and intimidation by illegal miners. Women, children and other residents fled their homes in fear, taking refuge at the Randgate Community Hall. Newzroom Afrika's Scara Mfokoane joins us live now from Randfontein, that's in the west, Rand in Gauteng. Scara, this is an interesting decision by the president. It certainly is one that community leaders have called for some time, for the SANDF to be deployed in these gang-ridden areas. I suppose the question is, how will it work?
Absolutely, Michelle, and good morning to you and good morning to our viewers. How it'll work, they'll come in as reinforcement. What you're seeing behind me, Michelle, is the deployment of the SAPS members who were permanently, and I quote what the acting police minister told us at the time, Feroz Kacholia. He said that this will be a permanent deployment of the South African Police Service. But furthermore, what we heard from the president yesterday, the deployment of the SANDF. They are not here yet, Michelle, and Newzroom Afrika can reliably, inform the public out there that what we heard is that the mission to come here to Sporong, Michelle, it's still in training. So the soldiers, the troops rather, are in mission training at this current moment. But what we do know is that this weekend, it may be today, later in the day, or tomorrow, the soldiers will arrive here in Sporong to reinforce those SAPS members. This is a community, Michelle, which has been terrorized by those illegal miners, and we know that over 600 people who resided here where we are, Michelle, vacated their homes, fleeing from what they said, Michelle, were gunshots. And these illegal miners, the Mazamas, were terrorizing them, coming into this community, stealing their belongings, to some extent, Michelle, allegedly raping their children. They've since come back since the deployment, but let me bring into the conversation Tate Nkambule, one of the community leaders here in Sporong, to just tell us about their reaction, immediate reaction, about what the president said yesterday. Tate Nkambule, thank you so much for joining us. These SAPS members, they were deployed last month, and SANDF now is coming to reinforce us as community leaders here in the community. Your reaction, how do you feel about that? And I must indicate, Michelle, he'll be speaking in isiZulu, then I'll translate.
Okay, ngiyabonga baba. No, sijabule kakhulu si community, sijabulile sibona isupport engaka, siyaqala ukuyibona isupport hamba ngalohlobo ehamba ngakhona njengamanje. Amaphoyisa akhona futhi namanje sithenjiswe ukuthi amasoja azoba khona uzosiza lana. So we are very happy ne process abasithembise yona ukuthi bazoqala ba-allocate abantu baqalile ba-allocate-wa. Even myself nge-allocated njengamanje ngithole indlu eDukumsres. So bathembisile abantu base-human settlement ukuthi bazofika bazo-allocate iviki neviki. So i-process ikhona nje, si-happy. I think ukuthi if ngeke bayibreak le nto abakhulume kithi soba happy kakhulu.
And essentially, Mr. Tate Nkambule telling us that they, as a community, they are very happy about that deployment by the SANDF from the Commander-in-Chief, and they welcome it to come reinforce the efforts of the South African Police Service here. Also adding that there are houses rather from the human settlement which have been allocated for them to move from this community. When you came back, I know that you had vacated the Sporong because you're fleeing from Amazamazam. When you came back, since you've come back rather, has there been a difference?
Yes, ukhona kakhulu umehluko ngoba since lana akusafana before, akusenazibhamu ezikhalayo njengamanje. Sesiyakwazi nokuthi ebusuku silale at least. Yes, itrauma sasekhona because of ngeke vele isuke same time. Sakwazi ukuthi sibe novalo esinalo, okay, sharp nama changes akhona, sishintshila sahamba ebusuku kakhulu. Sebona abantu abahamba balale ematshwaleni bavuke ngakusasekuseni because of into ezenzakele before. Sesinama changes akhona. I think ukuthi since ikhona amaphoyisa lana and kusazoba khona amasosha, sizoba safe and happy.
Yabonga, Mkambule, thank you so much for your time. Michelle, he is telling me that since the deployment of the South African Police Service, there have been some difference of some sort. They don't hear gunshots anymore. They don't, they can walk freely in the evening, and that is something that they were unable to do. When you look around the infrastructure here, or at least lack of infrastructure, Michelle, this is what you see. There are no street lights. It's very dark in the evening. It was making it difficult for them to even come to shops like Kay would show you, my colleague on the right-hand side, to come get their essentials here. But he's telling me that life has since improved, but they were still asking for that reinforcement. But perhaps let's take you back to last month when we spoke to the mayor of Rand West municipality, when he told us about how overwhelmed, at least what he said, the police were in this municipality. Let's take a listen to that.
Go bua nnete ga nnete re faceitse ntho e leng gore ya re palla rona ya mazamazama batho bana ba armed beyond the word armed. However, mapodisa a rona ba iditse everything e lona le ba feeling information ka yone ba le nna mo le ba ya ba ilo searcha ba etsa a ba khona ba kra kwa obviously ba gaitso ha ne ntho e etsagala ba bile ba shifta batho ba.
And Michelle, in a short while, we'll be speaking to the municipality again just to get their reaction as to that deployment, and at least if that has been communicated rather to them. Also, Michelle, what the president mentioned, we don't have the finer details as to how long this deployment will be, how many soldiers will be deployed here, and also in other areas. So we know that Sporong is not the only area. You're talking about Carltonville area as well. So it's quite large in the Westerns, whereby this infiltration of the Zamazamas is. But those details, we'll bring them to you as and when we get information regarding that.
All right, Scara Mfokoane live to us there on Gauteng's West Rand in Randfontein. Scara, thanks very much indeed. Of course, we need to get clarity, as he says, on a whole range of issues pertaining to this deployment, not only in Gauteng, but in the Western Cape as well.